Wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. Today we are joined by Sam Biardo. Sam is the CEO at Technology Advisors. He's also the host of CRM Talk. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan.
It's great to have you. I want to say back on the show, although this will still be the first episode that we get to air featuring you. We were having some technical difficulties last time, so you were, of course, gracious enough to reschedule with us, which I really appreciate. And today we are going to be talking about CRM integration and sort of CRM migration. But before we get into today's topic, maybe you can tell our listeners a little about what you and Technology Advisors are up to, and a little about your show, CRM Talk.
So, Technology Advisors is a CRM consulting company, and we are implementation specialists for CRM. Starfish ETL, which is our software division, really focuses on providing software so that end customers, particularly end users or administrators, can do different types of integrations to CRM, for example, accounting like QuickBooks or SAP to their CRM, or even things like Twitter integration to their CRM.
Got it. You're bringing a lot of expertise, a lot of technical expertise to the show today. So hopefully you'll forgive me if I ever need clarification on anything. I'm happy to make myself look like an idiot first and foremost, so that no one in our audience has to feel like they are missing something or behind the eight ball. But today we are going to be talking about CRM integration. You sort of live and breathe this sort of stuff. So Sam, why don't you just kind of take it away? What are we going to be getting into on today's episode?
Well, we're going to talk about why people integrate. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
We have a sales team out there, and the first integration we always see is the integration to their back-end accounting. And the business case is very simple. It is, I'm sending a salesperson out. They're making a call on somebody. It's certainly important to understand where they are, what products they own. Have they been paying us? Are they a credit risk? Do they have support issues right now actively? There's an old story that's probably 15 years old about a sales force which was to hairdressers, and they had a field force go out. And when they went to visit, they only got 15 minutes because these people are cutting hair and they don't want to take time out of their day. That's money. And they would spend 10 of the 15 minutes talking about problems. And by literally pushing that problem information, issues, tickets, and so on into CRM, they were able to go in and talk to the customer and spend the first 5 minutes saying, yeah, we got this solved, we got this solved, we got this solved. And then spend 10 minutes talking about new products they could buy. And they almost double their sales overnight. And that's the type of stuff that the reason why you give salespeople information is so that they can sell more. And it's really not about efficiencies, where there's a lot of things in CRM that's about efficiency. This is about sales growth.
Yes.
And
so, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was going to say, so, we see a lot of ERP integration is probably the first thing. And then the second thing we see is a lot of email integration. That probably is 99% of our integration that we do right now is one or the other.
Got it. What kind of solutions, it's not exactly a solution, but what do you see people using then before they do this sort of CRM integration where they are getting that back-end accounting, when they're getting that email integration?
Yeah, so I think it starts typically with manual labor. So, someone's in sales department and they start, typing in a lead and it becomes a customer, and then they hand it over to, someone in accounting who then re-enters everything. And so the first business case is, can we stop that double entry, right? And so the first integration we typically see is syncing the companies in the CRM with the companies in the accounting. And but QuickBooks is one of the hardest things to integrate with. We would think it would be easier, but its data structure makes it a little more difficult. And so it's a good example to use. And if you look at QuickBooks to any CRM, typically in QuickBooks you have one record company, and inside there you have a primary contact, and you have to somehow figure out, how do I take this account in CRM and make it a company? And then how do I take a contact that's associated with the account, because typically you have lots of contacts, and figure out which one's the primary, and how do I bring that primary person and make them hook up with QuickBooks in the back end. And so that's usually the first problem we have. And then once that happens, you have to sync that information back and forth. And then you have questions like, well, if I change the address of an account, do I really want to do that with the accounting system? So the second set of business problems are, who really owns the data? Should a sales rep, once it's a customer, be allowed to change the billing address? And that's business questions. Everyone does it differently, but we have to deal with that use case literally for every customer.
Yeah.
And so then once that happens, once that piece is working, the next thing we want to do is push data in, which is essentially, everyone generically calls it sales orders, but it's really primarily invoices and payments, and possibly quotes, but those three are typically what you push out of your ERP. And, then from that you can calculate all the wonderful stuff like, 30, 60, 90, or do we have invoices that were partially paid, what's overdue, and now that gives salespeople that ammunition. So you then have the ability to, create a prospect, turn it into a customer, have it move to your accounting system, and then have flow back all the sales. And that's right there. That's real powerful for a sales rep, because it gives them a lot of information that they need. Probably the next thing you see is products coming over and doing quoting in CRM and then pushing the quotes back. And then again, based on the company, there's a quote and turn to an order in CRM, or does a quote go to a quote to the accounting system and turn an order there? If it is an order in CRM, does it become an order in ERP, or does it become an invoice in ERP? So there's a whole bunch of things around use cases around that, and it company by company. QuickBooks gives you three options. Become an invoice, could be an order, could be an estimate. And so again, based on the company, based on the business rules that they want to govern by, and the rules that they have to control their accounting department wants, that whole mapping changes.
Got it. Sam, I mean, a lot of the examples you've used, the things that you're integrating, why you're integrating, I mean, it does seem to kind of relate back to empowering your sales team or your sales, or the sales organization within your company. But I mean, this is also kind of about, I don't know, is it also about like sort of a seamless transition, or getting that information across your various teams? I mean, so that they're working seamlessly together?
Absolutely. It's that old 360 view, and it's the customer journey combined, right? So at the accounting level, you don't want your accounting team to continually having to be updating information. And when accounting departments, typically accounting departments are working with existing customers. When they find information, you want that to flow back to the sales team so they're aware. So that's the 360 view. And then really there is a journey, right? There's a sales portion of a journey that goes to a customer. And once it's a customer, there is a sort of a customer service journey that you take. And that is shared by either the sales customer service department and your back office operations. And so therefore you need to communicate information back and forth so that everyone knows where things are at. Like, did that order ship? Is that order going to be late? You certainly don't want to be walking into a customer asking them to buy more, when what they bought 3 months ago hasn't even arrived yet, right? And so it's all about that coordination. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of companies who don't have that integration, their mechanism of coordination is a lot of emails going back and forth, or a lot of phone calls. And we'll see that a lot. We'll see companies talk about how they, oh yeah, before I go on a sales call, I call the accounting department and ask them what's going on, right? And that's fine, but that's not efficient.
Yeah.
And so we think by providing these integrations, you save time, the sales time, but more importantly, your back office and operations time.
Yeah. Well, and so Sam, you had also mentioned that sort of even basic use cases, they change for every customer, but there's so much variety in what you can integrate or why you can integrate. I mean, there's so many powerful tools when you're trying to keep track of all this information. And even though use cases can change for every customer, are there some best practices? You're trying, you have a company, you're trying to decide, okay, what is going to be going into the CRM? What are we going to be keeping track of? What advice do you have for people that are even trying to decide what is this going to look like for us when we have this level of CRM integration?
Yeah, there's some things I say are owned by the accounting department, certain things that are owned by the sales department. So, once a prospect becomes a customer, things like the billing information and the billing contact should be owned by the accounting department and should be untouched by the sales department. And so, a lot of times we'll recommend locking that at the moment. The moment happens when an opportunity turns into an order. And by doing that, then there's some little extra work maybe the salesperson has to do as opposed to making a change themselves. They have to tell the accounting department that Joe's no longer with it and here's the new contact. But that guarantees that the accounting system is always going to be accurate. We're going to send the bills to the correct person. My favorite scenario is we had a customer who years ago allowed their salespeople to change any of the accounting information, and the guy didn't realize what they were doing and changed the accounting contact, and all the billing went to the wrong person who didn't know what was going on and just was ignoring their invoices. And it wasn't until some things got like 90 days past due did everyone realize that they were sending the invoices to the wrong person. So you're risking things like that by not locking certain features down. Again, company by company, depending on how complex your ordering and your sale is, right? If you have an opportunity that requires some level of configuration, and by that I mean there are rules around how I assemble a product, right? You may want to do that in your ERP system because a lot of the manufacturing systems have that built in, or you may want to look at, some tool like SteelBrick or something like that on your CRM side and have that configuration happen to your sales team. So again, if I'm just taking an assembly of products or buying products off a list, and that's the simple case, then that type of ordering may be best to be done by your sales team. On the other hand, if I have a manufactured product where I have a engineering solution, say, then that product needs to probably be built by someone in the back office, either operations or accounting. And so, again, it depends, but both of those use cases are valid. And what happens is, depending on what products you sell and how your company runs, we can guess what use cases are probably the correct ones.
Yeah, got it. Well, and Sam, I want to be respectful of your time, but before I do let you go, we had touched on this idea of CRM migration, and I'm curious as to kind of how that differs from CRM integration, because I'm just not even familiar with the idea of CRM migration.
Certainly. So the integration has two migrations, one in each direction, that are coordinated. And so the migration is usually when you switch CRMs from Microsoft to Salesforce to Microsoft. I don't want to be biased. When you switch, what happens is you have to take that data and move it all over to the other new system. And not all systems are designed the same way. My favorite is Goldmine. Goldmine is a real tough thing because they take their notes in a giant file with a little timestamp in the front of it. And when you go to any CRM, every note is a single record. And so the trick is now to take that large thing of of notes and parse it all so that it goes in the right order. So there's a whole process and mapping around how we move your data for the first time. And then sometimes we have companies who really have master, they might have two divisions on Microsoft and one on Salesforce, or two divisions on Microsoft and one on Sugar. And they need to coordinate that, and they need some engine that will move that data back and forth. And so that's the migration space. And, we're trying to own that with our Starfish company, starfishetl.com. And right now, we actually have a new product that came out, launched literally last week, Tuesday, and it provides the 30 most common data migrations for what we call the core entities: opportunities, accounts, contacts, leads, and all the affiliated things around that. But it does it for under $1,000, and typically, we'll see companies charge up to $10,000 for data migration. And so we spend a lot of time simplifying that process and making it so that a business owner, not a IT professional, can actually start doing data migrations.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, and it certainly sounds like a valuable service. And I think that certainly people in our audience are getting them thinking about this idea of CRM migration. Some of it is very foreign to me. I would imagine it's at least foreign to some of them. So if anyone in our audience is interested in following up with you and learning a little bit more about it, learning a little bit more about what you do or what you can do for them, or even just having a conversation about CRM integration, Sam, what is the best way for them to go about getting a hold of you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Sam Biardo, one word, but I think the best way is sam.biardo at starfishetl.com.
Well, we'll definitely include that in the show notes, so if anyone is interested in contacting you, they'll be able to do it that way. Sam, again, we had to re-record from last time. I do sincerely appreciate you carving some more time out of your schedule to be with us here on the show today.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it much.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you or someone you know would be an incredible guest for the B2B Growth Show, email me at jonathan@sweetfishmedia.com and let us know. We love connecting with B2B executives, and we love sharing their wisdom and perspective with our audience.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.